Okay, I can't be the only one feeling this way. I really feel like we've seen a whole lot of Pokemon Legends EA, and yet so little at the same time. Maybe it's just me, but every time we get a new trailer, I feel like I leave with more questions than answers. Even with all the footage that we've received, I still feel like I don't quite know how it'll feel to play the game moment by moment, and to me, that's a very important detail. Obviously, we already know what the combat will be like. We also got a little bit of insight into what the general flow of the game will be. You know, we've seen a little bit of what the side quests will be like with the detective work. We've seen a little bit of the Rust Syndicate. We've seen a little of the Battle Royale that takes place at nighttime, and we've seen the Wild Zones. But it's those moments in between that I still don't quite understand, and honestly, that's probably the majority of how we'll be spending the game, is within those moments between. And just in general, I think there's some key details that are very important that haven't quite been explained or even shown clearly to us. Not to mention, I still feel very confident that there are major details about the game and gameplay that Game Freak is purposely keeping from us, which is fine. A little mystery is always good, but there's no denying I'm still curious, and as such, with all this laid out in front of you, I want to discuss each individual thing that we still don't know about Pokemon Legends EA, so that we can all discuss and speculate together what the answers are in this lead up to the game's release. Let's go ahead and get started, and we're going to start with one of the biggest questions on my mind. Will the city of Lumiose be a fully seamless open world? We still haven't seen characters enter or exit doors in trailers. I'm tempted to say that if the city was seamless, Game Freak would be marketing that aspect proudly, so currently, I'm leaning towards the answer of no, but that would be a real shame, and because this game's scale is so small, taking place all within the confines of a city, with what's honestly a pretty small map, it's not very large, this raises questions of if we can even enter every building we see, which again, I feel like would have been a marketed selling point if that were the case. So I'll admit I'm a little fearful of the answers to these questions being disappointing. Now, because Game Freak scaled down the settings so drastically for this title, I do believe these answers should be a resounding yes, of course. The closest thing to an answer that we have seen though, and this is a little more comforting, is when we see the protagonist go up teleporters to reach rooftops, and even when entering the wild zones. These are seemingly seamless, so hopefully it's the same when entering or exiting buildings. Speaking of traversing the setting, we still don't know if there will be ride Pokemon in Legends EA. We've seen plenty of clips of our character parkouring over buildings with a Rotom phone, and even clips of our character finally using their human limbs to climb up small ledges, as they should, but we've yet to see them ride on nary a Rapidash or a Dragonite. Once again, I'll admit I'm fearful of the answer here. Even if we do get ride Pokemon, I'm really hoping Game Freak doesn't pull another Scarlet and Violet here and lock our ride Pokemon to just one Pokemon, which in this case would probably be Zygarde with its several forms. I'm still very much an advocate for Game Freak finally unchaining the leashes and letting us choose our rides, similarly to Let's Go PV. Code several Pokemon to have the abilities and let us use our favorites that we choose to have on our teams. It's that simple. Still on the topic of setting, we still don't know where, if anywhere at all, we can traverse that's outside of or even below Lumiose City. There's a real chance we'll be able to at least go underground and explore the Pokemon world's equivalent to the Paris Catacombs, but we might also have a story beat similar to Legends Arceus, where we get expelled from the city and have to stay somewhere nearby. As with everything that's going to be on this list, time will tell here. Now, while enjoying ourselves in the city, Game Freak has revealed that we can take our Pokemon out for activities like going to cafes and, sitting on park benches. Okay, so this raises once again a lot of questions. Are there other activities we can do with them as well? Perhaps they can play in a park together instead of just sitting around or something. Also, do these activities act as cutscenes, or are these scenarios interactable? Is it seamless, like taking our Pokemon out in Legends Arceus was, or do we need to access a menu to activate these, like Picnic Mode in Scarlet and Violet? Are we able to choose just 2 to 5 of our Pokemon in the team to join in, or is it all or nothing? Once again, more questions than answers with the footage we've seen, and I'm curious to see what we'll get. And speaking of our Pokemon, I've continuously stated how confused I am about Pokemon size scaling. We've had conflicting evidence for and against this. Most footage shows every Pokemon in the same species to be the same exact size. It's also shown large Pokemon to be very small, like Onix. However, the most recent trailer showed that Alphas are returning, and in Legends Arceus, Alphas were huge. But Houndoom here looks like it's its normal size. However, at the same time, Alpha Watchog is shown to be as big as our trainer, when a normal one would only be about 3 foot tall. So, are alphas bigger than normal, but maybe just size capped still to not be too large? Can we even catch alphas? Will they retain their size if we do? I don't know. And another conflicting couple of footage shows Tyranitar, who's supposed to be 7 foot tall, being the same height as our trainer. So he's clearly scaled down dramatically in size here, yet when we enter battle with him and he mega rampages, he towers over us with his cannon height of being over 8 feet tall. The same thing happens to us with our Mega Steelix. Previous trailers showed Steelix very small, but this clip of him as a Mega is huge. I'm so confused by all this, because we've heavily speculated that large Pokemon were scaled down to allow for easier dodging with the new battle system. I previously criticized this for being a bad solution to a made-up problem, since they could simply balance larger Pokemon to have higher defensive stats to make up for that. And I still stand by that criticism. And as we already know, Legends games exist on an entirely different balance scale from traditional mainline, so it was perfectly within the realm of possibilities for them to do that. But now it seems like they did do that, but only with Megas, maybe? But then again, what about the Alphas? Because again, that Houndoom wasn't that big. It's all very confusing to me. That, like I said, time will tell. And sadly, we might not know until the game comes out. All I ask is this: Game Freak, please stop scaling down large Pokemon. 3D games are magical because you get to have variance in size between creatures and objects. You get to show us things with accuracy rather than it just being numbers in a Pokédex entry. This is completely different from what it's like to be making a 2D game. 3D games need size variations. Now, these gameplay aspects are obviously my focus here on the channel, but that doesn't mean I'm not curious about the story as well. I'm happy Game Freak is keeping it so mysterious, kind of like they did with Legends Arceus. I'm a big fan of that. With that said, my questions center on 3 characters in particular. The first is Professor Sycamore. Where is he? He's nowhere to be found. Why has Mabel seemingly replaced him? And she used to be a villain. This is very curious. The next is Clement. He was the gym leader at Prism Tower, and this game clearly takes place after X and Y. So what's he up to now? We still haven't seen him, and will he have any sort of shocking story relevance? I'd love it if he was like, I don't know, made into a villain or something. Matter of fact, we still don't even know the significance of Prism Tower in Legends EA. I actually have an entire video on that, so even though it's another thing to add to the list of what we don't know, I'm not going to talk about that much here. You can watch that video after this. But okay, back on topic, the third character I'm curious about is Zygarde. The last trailer showed him looking like he's using his cells to spy on us, and we keep seeing shots of him only in his dog form, running around and, well, still kind of spying on us. Now, if you guys have answers or speculation for anything I mentioned in this video, please comment it down below so we can discuss it together. Afterwards, check out my newest breakdown video for some unfiltered gameplay footage that just released yesterday. You can watch that on the right side in front of you here, or you can watch my speculation video on Prism Tower on the left-hand side. It's up to you. If you're able to support me and want your name featured at the end of all of my videos, please join my Patreon with the link in front of you or in the description, or become a channel member right here on YouTube. I've been JotoJohnny, and I'll catch you all there.